Okay, so I don't usually record like this where I'm just on the fly shooting the breeze, vlog style, but that's what I'm going to be doing for right now. I'm asking myself the question, what if S.E Hinton wrote another book? What if she wrote another book that was a spin-off, direct spin-off off of her book, The Outsiders? Personally, I'm a big fan of the book The Outsiders. I also really liked her book That Was Then, This Is Now. And of course, readers will know that they take place in the same universe, and there's some cameo appearances in That Was Then, This Is Now from some of the characters from The Outsiders. And I really liked both books. Personally, I really like stories, you know? I like stories, I like losing myself in a story, but I have to admit, I'm not much of a reader. I haven't read too many books. And I completely know that I'm missing out. Like I said, I really like stories. But I'm just not much of a reader. But the books that I have read, I really enjoyed. For example, The Three Musketeers, really good book. This wasn't a book we had to read in school or anything like that. It was actually a bedtime story. My dad used to read me bedtime stories. The Judy Blume books, or the Fudge books, as people like to nickname it. So I read the Fudge books. I liked West Side Story. I thought West Side Story was pretty cool. Again, I've read a number of books in school, like John Livingston Seagull, which was like a pretty psychological book, which I feel like at the time was kind of beyond my years at that age. I felt like it was kind of young for that kind of book. But yeah, Farewell to Arms. A lot of people have read the book Holes, which I haven't, but the point I'm trying to get to is I know I haven't read too many books, but the books I have read I did really enjoy. And I'm actually thinking of doing the audiobook thing, because I actually not reread, I listened to The Outsiders and That Was Then, This Is Now. So I reheard the stories, and it just rekindled something, and it lit a fire in me a little bit for stories and stuff like that. So I might end up diving into audiobooks instead. I just have a horrible time reading. I have a terrible time trying to concentrate, so maybe I'll do the audiobook thing. But it really rekindled something for me, and the whole story thing. I tried writing my own stories before. I have written a number of them in the form of comic books, because, of course, if you're familiar with BroTunes or our Instagram page or whatever it is, my twin brother and I, we really like to draw. Particularly cartoons. I really love drawing cartoons. But as of late, I've been really inspired to make stories. So I'm asking myself the question, what if S.E Hinton wrote a spin-off of The Outsiders? Now, something that I did do was, well, first of all, I rewatched the movie, listened to the book, listened to That Was Then, This Is Now, but something else that I did was watch the very short-lived Outsiders show. So, I don't know how many people know about the TV show. I reckon that Outsiders fans would probably know about it, because I feel like a lot of Outsiders fans are like really hardcore Outsiders fans, you know what I mean? So, they would be into it enough to know that there was a show, in fact. So there was a show that ran for only 13 episodes, very short-lived, and I really liked the show. I found it on YouTube. The quality isn't the best, but I mean, it's watchable in my opinion. And I really liked it, actually. There were some inconsistencies, but it's kind of to be expected, you know? But I really liked the show, and I'm pretty sure S.E Hinton kind of overlooked the show too a little bit. But I thought the show was really cool. Now, they introduced a new character who was not in any of the books. They introduced her character in the actual show, and her name is Scout. and I'm going to be talking about Scout a lot in this video, because I really liked her character. And it was so much so that when she was on screen, I was more excited because I really wanted to learn more and see more of her story arc. Unfortunately, the show did get cancelled, so we didn't really get to see where things would go. But I loved her character. And so when I'm asking myself the question, and I asked myself this question while I was watching the show, what if S.E Hinton wrote a book about her? And her perspective, through her perspective. And we all know that S.E Hinton only wrote through the character, through the eyes of guys, right? S.E Hinton is actually a lady, and she wrote all her popular books, all of her books except for one, which was a children's book, apparently. They were all through the eyes of young guys, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I think it would be an interesting contrast if she wrote a book through the eyes of a girl. And S.E Hinton has admitted that she, growing up, was a little bit kind of on the tomboy side. And for example, she liked to get physical and, you know, play aggressive sports and stuff like that, with guys and stuff, and like she wasn't too into girly things. And so I just feel like the character of Scout would have been perfect for her to write about, because the character Scout, she is a tomboy. She's kind of tough. She's a tough girl. She'll get into fights. She likes to stand up for herself. So I think S.E Hinton could have easily have written a book about her. I don't know who invented the character. Maybe she invented the character, I don't know. Maybe it was just the writers. But they reintroduced a character named Scout, and I'll talk about her a little bit. I'll leave it up to you to actually explore the show a little bit. But her character is that she's always, her whole life, she's always been moving around. Her dad, for whatever reason, keeps thinking he has found the next thing that will make them money, but it doesn't seem to ever come to pass that he actually makes their family money. But she's kind of, her and her mom are just kind of forced to tag along with him. And unfortunately, the dad drinks and he abuses both his daughter and his wife. So she doesn't really like her home life. But because of this, they don't really say directly, this is the reason why, but it kind of feels that way. Because of that, she is a person who likes to escape, sort of thing. So she likes, for example, reading books. She likes watching the sunset and stuff like that. And these are all things that are very similar to Ponyboy. So this is how her and Ponyboy actually get along really well. That's not spoiling too much. But in some ways, she's similar to Johnny in the sense that she kind of becomes the... It kind of hints that she kind of becomes the gang's pet, where Johnny kind of used to be the gang's pet. She's pretty different. She's pretty different from the rest of the greasers. And they call her a greaser girl because she is kind of a part of their class and kind of she's from their side of town, sort of thing, if you're familiar with the book. So they call her a greaser girl. And I just really liked her character and where the story was taking her and stuff like that. She's just trying to find a place to belong, and like, she has her own kind of things going on. She's trying to deal with them, and she's not really sure about how open she should be with friends and stuff like that, because she never really had too many friends, because she's been moving around too much. And I really liked the actress too. I thought she was a really good pick. Actually, the actress was actually married to James Van Der Beek at one point, from Dawson's Creek. So that's her grown up. So I thought that was kind of interesting to find out. But yeah, so I thought to myself, like, what if S.E Hinton wrote a book about her? Again, the likelihood is very, very low. So what did I do? What artists tend to do to cope with things like that is to either make fan art or write fan fiction. So if you're a writer, write fan fiction. If you're an artist, you draw your own art. I both like stories, and I like fan art too. And that's what I've been up to these days. I've been making a lot of Outsiders fan art, including this character Scout, because I really liked her character. So you can follow my brother and I on Instagram at BroTunesTwins without the exclamation mark, BroTunesTwins, and yeah, I've already made a lot of rough drafts. So far, I've only made portraits of the characters, but I have also drawn like a bunch of like scenes and stuff, and like cool little like pictures of like things that they're up to. For example, I'll just give you an example. I drew a picture of Steve Randall and Soda Pop at their gas station that they work at, and it looks like they're playing draw, you know, like with gas pumps. So that's what I mean, like little like scenes with the characters from The Outsiders, and I'm including Scout in these scenes because I'm a big fan of the character. But it goes further than that. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I started writing my own fan fiction of Scout, the character Scout. And I'm really into it. And you know what? You know, I've never been much of an author, but I actually think I'm not saying this to be arrogant, but I actually think I might be a good storyteller. And I'm really into it. I think it's pretty good. My brother said he thinks that it's pretty good, and he thinks I should keep writing. So far, I'm almost 3 chapters in. So like I've been really inspired. I've been really on a roll, and I want to share it with. I want to share it publicly. I don't want to just read the entire book. I want to do it sporadically. So after I'm done 3 chapters, I want to read it out loud here on YouTube, on the BroTunes channel. And if there's anybody who is an Outsiders fan, I would like to hear what people think. I would like to hear if people are into it, if it's intriguing. I would like to know people's opinions and stuff like that. I would be down for that. And how people think the book should go, you know? I do want to implement some coming-of-age-esque kind of, you know, coming-of-age sort of themes. I would like to talk about the times, you know, it was the 60s. The show addressed racism, because racism obviously was a bigger deal in the 60s. And I want to address maybe a little bit of sexism a little bit, because obviously Scout is a girl. And you know, this was back in the 60s again, so like a little bit of touchy themes, but also like personal themes, you know, like things that a person would go through in their heads. And it might feel a little bit awkward for some people because I'm a 24 turning 25-year-old man writing through the perspective of a young girl who's about 14. So it's going to be interesting. But again, if you're imaginative, you're imaginative. S.E Hinton wrote about a boy who was 14, right? So, and I really feel like I have accomplished putting myself in her shoes. I really do think that, and quite frankly, I'm proud of myself, and I'm amped. And so now I'm juggling my time with doing this like fan art, posting it on Instagram, and then doing this Scout book. Guys, I'm writing a full-on book. I've never written a full-on book before. So I'm excited about this, and I think I'm doing well, and hopefully you guys will think that. So this is kind of like shooting the breeze, but also kind of like an announcement video, because I've never written a book before, but I think I'm doing well. So be sure to stay tuned for that. I'm going to finish 3 chapters, and then I'll read you the 3 chapters, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and I am looking forward for your input. So thanks for watching. I encourage you to watch the TV show if you haven't. You can find it on YouTube. Hopefully YouTube doesn't remove it. If you're not familiar with The Outsiders, you can actually, people have read it out loud and put it on YouTube. So have a listen to the book. I also suggest reading That Was Then, This Is Now. You will see why I would want you to read That Was Then, This Is Now, because, well, first of all, I won't go far into it, but let's just say it's kind of, it would be during that time, hypothetically, and there's kind of some themes that I want to add from That Was Then, This Is Now, and add it to my Scout book, which I did actually name Scout, just Scout. And I even drew a hypothetical book cover. That's how like amped I am. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check that out. I'll be coming out with that soon. Also, before I go, I have written fan fiction, a hypothetical TV episode off of a TV show, so I'll be reading that too. I'm really putting myself out there on this BroTunes channel. We don't want it to just be cartoons and us singing and like these little skits that we do between my twin brother and I. But we just want to be ourselves on here and just share like the things that we're up to and just really expressing ourselves artistically and all that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Tune back in. Means a lot.